What do you think? Is it time for Mule? It's Mule time, huh? Yeah. Yes. Is it Mule time? It is. It's that time, isn't it? Yeah.
Hey, hey, everybody, it's that time. It's that time, as it is each and every week. My name's Dave. This is Steve Edwards. We are here to talk mules and donkeys for the next 60 minutes. Steve's got a few things he wants to talk about. I got a few things I want to talk about, but really, we're here for you to talk about the things you want to talk about the things you need us to talk about. We're going to do our best to help you get the information so you can get out there, gain the trust of your animal, get results when you train, and just enjoy equine. Enjoy the mule, enjoy the donkey, enjoy being outside. Get away from the television, get away from the internet, get away from your boss, and maybe your family member, so you can't get that far away. But nonetheless, get away from the things that are stressing you out and enjoy the outdoors and an animal that wants to be a willing partner with you. It's a great joy to be able to come and be a part of that process with you each and every week, and that's why we're here. So my name's Dave. This is Steve Edwards, and Steve, it's been a week. How are things out there on the ranch now?
Well, by golly, we had a big old fire to the north of us, but it didn't go much. It was mainly in the wilderness area itself. And since Forest Service don't allow cows back there anymore, now it all growed up and just turned into a big old fire. So, of course, it cost us a few $100,000 to fix it. But, we don't want no cows on there. What are we going to have to do? Have cow gas everywhere? Yeah, but that's another whole story. I'm doing good. We're getting things packed. You see, I'm in the motorhome here. This is my wife's motorhome. She wanted a motorhome. She said we're going to get rid of that 40-foot toy hauler, which we didn't do. That 40-foot toy hauler we've had since '07. Got over 150,000 miles on it from traveling border to coast to coast to help mules cope with people. Did I say that? Yeah, yeah. Mules coping with people. So today we're going to talk a little bit about that. Had a guy call me from Canada today, and got some pretty interesting things to talk about there. And then, of course, Dave, we got Shelbyville coming up, huh?
Hey, hey, you know it, Shelbyville,
Yeah.
Tennessee. That was on my list. That was on your list of things you wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Yes, Shelbyville is coming up. And Steve, I want folks to know every single week we send out an email a little bit before the program goes live, just so everybody has their links right in front of them. Y'all, I'll put a link in the comment section if you want to start receiving those notifications. It's just a real quick heads up before we go live. But in that email that I sent out today, Steve, I included a link to the American Mule and Bluegrass Festival
Yeah.
where folks can donate even if they're not going to attend the event. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what's happening at the American Mule and Bluegrass Festival, and I'll get the link for folks here in the chat.
There you go. Well, as probably most of you know, I'm just kind of at 75 years old and 32 broken bones and 2 replaced hips. This kind of time to slow down. Yeah, slow down. I can't imagine that. But anyway, got to do it. But this here American Mule and Bluegrass Festival is a good deal. Marty Ray puts forth a lot of effort there in Shelbyville, Tennessee, and he's done it for veterans, trying to help the veterans out. And he's done that for 3 years, 4 years, and now he's trying to help out local Christian organizations. You know, it's pretty tough to have, to get financing for certain things. So I'm donating my time, and if anybody out there would like to have to make a donation, if they come to the clinics, it's all, I never ask. I'm not going to ask for a dime. But if you want to make a donation to this program, yes, it's there. You're also going to see the NASMA show is going to be there. They're going to be doing mule show and mules and donkeys, and be judging it and this sort of thing. There's going to be a mule there making ice cream. Now, you all got to be there because you get to taste the ice cream as well. There'll be people in wagons. There'll be people in harness. There'll be people riding. There's going to be a guy there talking about shoeing and the purposes of that. We got chuck wagon cooking. Oh man, and I always offer to test out the biscuits, or the beans, or the whatever. They got some awesome, authentic chuck wagons there. They're going to be cooking. They actually allow school kids, the superintendents and sort of thing, they bus in the kids to this program so that they can see and hear about mules. So it's really something. And then, of course, in that area, bluegrass. Oh, my goodness, bluegrass music. And so they're going to be picking and grinning this sort of thing around there as well. You ain't never going to meet such friendly folks as you do that have mules and donkeys. It's going to be pretty awesome. But it's all donation, folks. So please come there and open up your wallets and let's help out God and do God's work here. And we appreciate that. And then, anytime you want to come up and ask me a question, just grab me. Now, I'll be all the time. I'll be doing demonstrations with mules. Sometimes I'll be up there. I'm going to have a booth inside the Coliseum, and I'm going to have bits and saddles there and stuff like that. But my main thing is there to help out this program and help out Marty Ray. What do you think there, Mule Guy?
Hey, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Folks, it's September 26th through the 28th. There's something for everyone there. As old as you want, as young as you want. It's going to be a lot of fun. American Mule and Bluegrass Festival.com has all of the information. There you can donate. You can find the different tickets that they've got, their sponsorship information, all sorts of great stuff that you can get familiar with so that you have a great time when you show up in Shelbyville. So American Mule and Bluegrass Festival.com. Make sure to check it out. There's really only 3 things that you need to know for today, though. Other than going to American Mule and Bluegrass Festival.com, you need to know we want to hear from you. Put your name, where you're watching from, and what the weather is like in the comment section. You can see our friends are already modeling that for you. So you just follow their lead. Ashley, Dave, Merlin, James, just follow their lead. They're already sharing their name, where they're watching from, what the weather's like. The second thing we ask is that you put in any and every mule or donkey question that you got in the comments section, and we'll get to it today. I don't think there's ever been a time where we got to our last question and still had more that had not come through. We try to get them all done until we say last question. And then the final thing is share the broadcast. And you do that by using the share buttons, the like buttons, and the subscribe buttons, both on Facebook and YouTube. And that's how more folks will find us, and that's how we'll keep getting great programs, because folks bring great questions. Ashley is watching from Minneapolis, 87 degrees. Dave O'Brien, East Texas, 85 and humid. Merlin is watching from northwest Minnesota. We have had thunderstorms. Some areas around us have gotten 3 inches of rain. It's currently about 75 degrees and clearing. They got 3 inches of rain. We got 3 minutes of rain yesterday. Jim is watching from western Maryland, 60 degrees and misting rain. Ooh, that sounds like a good band name. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Misting Rain. Sherman is watching from Norman, Oklahoma. Polly is watching from Barnesville, Minnesota, 86 and windy, but still pretty nice. God bless you, Steve and Dave. We will take that. We need all the blessing we can get. Bill is watching and sharing to multiple of Mules of Ohio and Mules of Indiana, 84. Mostly sunny. Looking forward to Shelbyville. Hugh is watching from Hamilton, Ontario, and that means we have gone international. 85 degrees, almost too hot to ride. Hugh, you want hot. Come on down, Hugh. Come on down. It's like 100 or something today. You will be like, you know what? I'm going to go back and ride in Ontario. No, we're just giving you a hard time. We're glad that you're here, Hugh. Jackie, who has been hard at work with her surcingle, here again from Pendergrass, Georgia, cloudy, 78 degrees, and I have your first question of the day. Are there people that have handled horses for a long time, say 36 years, that just aren't for mules? They just don't get their understanding or their thinking. Longtime horse person wanting to make the jump to mules, is it possible?
Oh yeah, it's very possible. It's amazing to me to see the people that are making the changes, not only from horses to mules, but to donkeys. Wow, it's amazing to see the donkey people out there. Pretty incredible. I'll tell you a story. I was selling mules here, 20 some years ago, and a guy came from Illinois, and he was a friend of one of the guys that from Ohio that was staying here in at the ranch. And he said wanted to buy a couple mules so he could ride back in the superstition wilderness and ride some tough country. And I said, why don't you ride your horses? He said, I don't want to ruin a good horse back there. He says, I don't think I'll do much with these mules other than just leave them here and ride them. I said, well, that's interesting. So anyway, long story short, he bought a couple mules and rode them and really enjoyed them. So about 2 years later, I was on my clinic tour, and I went by Ohio and visited with a friend of mine, Mr. Brown, and he was telling me about his friend that had come by the ranch and bought a couple mules. He said, "You don't know anything about this guy, Steve, but he is Mr. Quarter Horse. He had quarter horse studs, quarter horse mares. He judged quarter horse shows. He done quarter horse shows. He done cutting with horses and all. And he says, but I got to take you over there. So it wasn't that far to drive from Ohio to Indiana. I think it's about an hour and a half. He said, I got to go over there and show you his farm. And of course, back there, that y'all got farms. Now here we got ranches. But anyway, I get there, and there was not a horse anywhere on that place. I was amazed. There was wagons, there was harness, there was mules, but this guy he told me, he said, Steve, if I'd have known that mule people were this much fun, and if I'd have known that mules were this much fun and how easy they are to train, he says, I am amazed. And he said, the only reason they're easy to train, because I've been following some of your direction. I said, well, thank you for that. But anyway, long story short, he went strictly quarter horse, and he was strictly quarter horse for 25 years. And now he's all mules and will not go back to horses. And I've seen that time and time again. I had one very good friend. He rode a mule and packed a horse. He said, ain't nobody should be packing a mule and riding a horse. He said, because it's got that much more better of a ride. Yeah, it's amazing how people make the changes, and you can make the change. And if you just have an open mind, because I can't tell you how many people say, if I'd have never been able to do that with my horse. I'd have never been able to do that with my horse. My horse would have blew up. Da 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 da. But you spend the time with these mules. The mules that are screwed up are because of people. And and I know a lot of you know now. You've seen it. A lot of you seen it. That when you go at a mule, you go at him completely different bits, completely different mindset, and this sort of thing. So, long story short, can the change be made with ease? With ease.
Awesome. And that's what we love about this program is we'll help you through that change, navigate some of that thinking that might work with the horse or things that might work with the mule and the horse, but there's a better way to do it with the mule. And then here's what that better way could look like. So thanks, Jackie. Appreciate that question. And don't hesitate to reach out. Rory is watching from Southwest Ohio, and like Bill said, it's 80s and nice. Dave O'Brien says, I'll see you at the festival, Steve. Last year, I learned many new things seeing you demonstrate in person. So that's going to be a lot of fun to have so many folks together. Steve is watching from a windy Eastern Oregon where it's 59 degrees. And Jackie says, she has a follow-up or a second question. Is repeating a specific action the way to have them get it, or do you quit as the reward? If so, how do you get them to do it perfect if they get rewarded for just doing it?
Well, I use the thought of asking, telling, demanding. That's natural. That's the way equines speak to one another. And how it goes is like this. You'll have a herd of animals, and there's always a leader. And that herd leader pretty much dictates what the animals are going to do. When that herd leader starts walking, everybody else starts walking with her. When they go to get a drink, everybody else goes to get a drink, and they become the herd leader. Now, we have a brand new mule, and he's coming into the herd. And he's coming in saying, "Oh man, look at all these mules and horses." And all of a sudden, the lead mare, she comes out in front of him and she pins her ears. And she's saying, "Don't come no closer. I'm asking you, don't come no closer." Well, then the young mule keeps on coming in. He wants to visit with everybody, you know. And so she pins her ears and she swishes her tail. She asks him, now she's telling him, "I told you, slow down, don't come no closer." But yet the young mule keeps on coming in. So now the young mule comes in, she spins and she kicks him with both hind feet, turns and bites him, and you would think it'd be over with, but right then she just set the line. She basically said, "I asked you, I told you, now I demand upon you." Okay. And that mule will then follow her everywhere anyway. Okay. That's the world of an equine. Now, let's go on. I do everything in threes. Everything in threes. I build a foundation. I don't train. Training is when you get in the saddle and go down the road. Then they understand what you are wanting. I build a foundation for them so that when you ask for something, they know what it is and they will comply. Now, you may not get it completely right, but then it's your way. And as long as in general with what they learn with foundation, they will then go along with you. Okay. So it's very important that you understand that don't just time them out and say, "I'm going to work 15 minutes, I'm done." Or, "I'm going to leave on a good note." Or, "I'm going to, no, 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 no. Does the mule have it? How do we know if the mule has it? When he drops his head. When his eyes get big and brown. When his ears get soft. Not when he's all tense and tight. Okay? I want to leave my mule, and keep this thought in your mind. I want to leave my mule quieter, more relaxed when I leave than when I begin. Because here's the problem. Most people want to hurry up and get it done. Okay? I want to turn his neck around, make him go to the left, turn his neck around, make him go to the right, pull him really hard, make him stop, rather than using nice, quiet little movements with your hands. Okay? Everybody wants to make them do it rather than show them the steps to get there. Okay? So to answer your question in a whole, when it comes down to training, when the mule has it, you'll see the quietness in him, and you build a foundation of three. So, for instance, I'm surcingling. I've got the surcingle strap, and I've got the rope halter on, and the mule has already spent probably about 20, 30 hours in a surcingle, walking around by himself, or maybe a plastic bag tied to the surcingle and it's flopping around, but he's quiet still. And when he kind of gets it to where he's quiet, head down, nose on the vertical, and walking that way, I then can go to my next stages. What's the next stages? Okay. I'm in the middle of the round pen. I want my mule to go counter or go to clockwise, go to the right. That means I'm on the mule's right hand side, his off side. What else is that? What else? That is his right brain. Remember, they have two brains, one on the right, one on the left. And when you're training, you must train the right and the left side. Mules and horses. Okay, now understand, the part that you're actually teaching is about as big as a walnut. Sure, he's got pretty good sized lobes, brain. But all that is flight and fright, eat and poop, and all that other stuff. The trainable part that they're going to retain is definitely going to be about the size of a walnut. Could be bigger, could be smaller. So you have to build a foundation of doing those steps. So as the mule's going around, at first his head's up and he's all kind of worried because now I'm pushing him. He slows down. I push him a little bit. Maybe take my quirk and throw it on the ground, with my buggy whip or maybe my come along rope, and I push him a little bit. Where before I was not pushing him. Now he's a little upset. What's he trying to do? What's he trying to do? Well, when he starts relaxing, head down, nose on the vertical, framed up. When he starts relaxing, and I will start counting my times going around the bend. I got my gate, that's 1. Comes around, I got my gate, that's 2. Comes around, got my gate, times 3. Now, during those steps as they're going around, head down, framed up, nose on the vertical. There is no such thing as perfect. Get that out of your mind. Meaning because you're not perfect. Okay? And you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And if you don't make mistakes, there's something wrong with you. Because the only one I know that didn't make any mistakes and that was perfect has already died for my sins. So let's go on. As you go, you're going to make mistakes. And you're going to make a ton of them. Mules are always forgiving. Donkeys are always forgiving. But don't keep doing the same thing. All right? For instance, this. Oh, he did really good 3 times around. I think I'm going to go 5 or 6 more times around. No. You've got to build a foundation. I'm going to do 3 today to the right, 3 today to the left. And if I'm happy with those 3, they're nowhere near perfect, I'm going to stop. I'm done. I do not need to train every day. I don't want to train every day. Neither does the mule want you to train every day. Don't want it. Okay? It's not important. When you train every day, you're going to blow them out. Okay? Mules and especially horses. So if your training is right, if you're building a foundation that's correct, I can wait 5 days to 10 days between training times, and the mule will pick up right where I left him. I can tell you that I've had many a mule that I've gone back and done clinics, and the people are having a hard time, and I go back and kind of follow the mule a little bit, and I see where he's at, and I start him again at a particular spot and go on, and he'll go off just like I'd worked with him the day before. If your foundation is correct. 3, 6, 9, 12. So the next time I train him, I'm going to have my mule go around in the round pin. The first 3, are they like it? What I like? Good. Now I'm going to add to it. I'm going to do 3 more. Now I've done 6. Week 10 days later, I'm going to do those 6 plus 3 more, 9. Couple 10 days later, a week later, I'm going to do those 9, and I'm going to do 3 more. I'm going to do 12. Got the idea? Okay. The idea is 3, 6, 9, 12. Once you build a foundation in that round pin, then you should be able to ask for a whoa, stand still and quiet, and a go. You should be able to ask to come to me. It'll all build up from that foundation. So there you are. I've got, what do we got out there, Dave? About 1,200 videos. So I got lots of free videos that you can go out there and look. Like I was telling there you go, Corey. Like I was telling a guy today from Canada. We'll talk about him a little later. I've got a lot of videos out there. Do it yourself. Mess around with these so-called trainers.
All right. Thank you, Jackie. Let's see here. Joy is watching from Crow's Nest in Queensland, Australia, 14 degrees Celsius. Jim is watching from Irondale, Alabama. We go from Australia to Alabama, 82 degrees, partly cloudy, very comfortable. Cassia is watching from Queensland, Australia, windy and rainy and yuck. And the mules and I are going to go on a big hike on the weekend. Have fun. Myra is watching from your favorite western state. Beautiful weather this weekend with another heat wave predicted for the next. Rory says, here's a question. Since moving to Ohio, I have learned from horse folks that if temperature plus humidity adds up to 150, it's unsafe on your horse or mule. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Ha. Tell that when I'm going down the Grand Canyon, I get down in the bottom there, it's 110, 120 degrees. You got to come back out of there. And I've been here in Arizona, and I, I've got a deal, a heat gun, and I can point it at the ground. It's 135 degrees. Now, how do I tell my cows that you got to move into one place? I can't just say, cows, go. Nope. I got to go out there with my mule and my border collies and move them. Okay. So, what condition are your mules in? Really, really important. As far as that goes, what condition are you in? Okay. You got to remember, you got to be hydrated. So does your mule. That's the biggest danger to mules is hydration. People think, oh, my mule doesn't have to drink much water. Yes, he does. Okay. And you better give him salt. And most of all, you better be giving your mule electrolytes. Okay. They've got to have the electrolytes. That's important. Okay. And you can go and you can get a tube of electrolytes and give them a shot up there. You can also put it in the water. If you're going from just riding, 4 or 5 hours a week to going down to Kentucky, for instance, for a 3-day ride, you better start be preparing yourself and your mule with electrolytes. Okay. Now I can tell you, I thump on electrolytes every day. Every day. Being in the fire department, I have learned a lot about keeping yourself healthy, and it's really important. And electrolytes is a big deal. That you're going to have good veins if you're good and hydrated. So going back to this, you want to feed your mule accordingly. Okay, that's really important. But as far as heat temperature index, if they come up with something, fine. But I can tell you that I have been up in Montana at 20 below zero, and I've been here in Arizona at 120 degrees. And it's called life. It's called weather, and you better be in condition for it.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Rory. Jerry is watching from Indiana, 87, no rain, but we really need it. Cowboy Ken is watching from Connecticut, where skies are blue at 75. Cassia says that walnut at least gets used, unlike us that use a pathetic 3% of our brain.
There you
Man,
are.
there we
Yeah,
go.
good for you,
Uh,
Cassie.
Let's see here. OGK is watching from Elko, Nevada. Your knowledge has helped me so much throughout the years. Thank you so much. Appreciate you saying that. Next question. This one comes in from, let's see, the name. This one comes in from Lowell. Says, I got a donkey last year, and when I got him, he was very obese. He's a mini, around 10. He's lost a ton of weight since I've had him, but still is fat and has fat pads. I just got a grazing muzzle for him yesterday since I don't have a dry lot. He can still drink with this, correct? Should I leave it on during the day and take it off during the night?
Okay, first of all, you're the perfect example of what I tell people. Don't put your mules and donkeys out there in a pasture. Okay, it don't take them long to get fat, and it don't take them long to grass founder. That's what those fat pockets are, really heavy, is grass founder. Okay, no, keep that muzzle on him. If it was me, you all know what I know, what I talk about. Put him in a 20 by 20 stall, and a miniature, put him in a 10 by 10 stall. They don't need to be out there. And my perfect example is, I want you for the next 2 months to only go eat at a smorgasbord, or only go eat at McDonald's hamburgers. Okay, and see how many pounds you gain. Now we got an obese donkey. Of course, we got a lot of obese people too, me included, and because we overeat. So anyway, so you got to do something. So if you turn him out for maybe an hour or two, that's going to depend on your pastor. You got to get this in your mind, folks, that your pasture may not look like it's got much out there, but it's surprising. We have something called fillery, and it's packed full. of carbohydrates, and will founder an animal pretty quick. It's just a little tiny plant. Okay, so you better know your field. You better know your feed. And with this guy being obese like this, hook him into a cart. Teach him how to drive a cart. But the main thing you want to do is get him off the feed. And yes, keep a muzzle. And it depends on the type of muzzle. My type of muzzle, yes, they can still drink water. Some of these muzzles you cannot. And so you want to consider that. Make sure they always have plenty of salt, folks. Listen, when you're going on these rides, throw yourself a block of salt down where this mule could get a hold of it, or maybe put it in with the morale when you're feeding them for the evening or the morning. Something to consider.
Awesome. Thanks, Lowell. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Next question. I'm looking into a non-horse equine, which are more low maintenance, money wise, and cares, donkey or mules, which are more likely to forage. Are there trusted websites or places to purchase? We've got muleranch.com. But Steve, what would you say as far as the maintenance? I mean, it seems to me, this is from Shady, seems to me like the maintenance is just about the same for both of them, isn't it?
Oh yeah, mules and donkeys. The maintenance. You're going to be about the same. Horses are overfed. I can tell you that vets get really frustrated. People overfeeding their dogs and overfeeding their mules and horses, just like we're overfeeding ourselves. So here's the deal. When it comes down to maintenance feed, or when it comes down to feeding them, when you're going to be riding and training pretty heavy, they have to be fed accordingly. Okay, and they don't need to be sitting on top of a round bell all day long. They don't need that. Okay, they don't need it. You just feed them according to what they need, and that's all they need. When it comes down to like your mules and donkeys, it's really easy to get heavy necks with fat pockets across the top of the ribs, across the top of the tail. It's really easy to founder one, really easy, and you'll get to where I've even seen some of them be so stiff they can hardly walk. So yeah, we've got a lot of information there on the website. You can read it. Mules Don't Stand Prosperity is one of them, huh, Dave?
Yep, there you go. Any other maintenance that you can think of other than feed? I mean,
Well,
vet would probably be the same. Shoeing would probably be the same.
shoeing. Yeah, you want to do.
Tack, training, all pretty much the same, right?
Yep, yep. You wanna make sure you've got their teeth floated. Uh, you want to make sure proper tack is tacked up properly, proper bit. I'm always amazed. I was just working with a veterinarian just recently who started getting into mules, and he says, "Steve, man," he says, I've tried all this stuff and I've got all these years. I mean, this guy's been a veterinarian all his life, and his ropes and cowboys and this sort of thing as well. Okay, and he says, I didn't realize some of this stuff until I started reading your website. We didn't learn this stuff in vet school, and about bits and how to and the proper way to do their teeth and a proper bridle and stuff like this. He says, I can't believe the difference when I changed from my horse bit over to your bit. I looked at the two and I said, this has to be, and it's not. It's not. He said, I was amazed to see the difference. So, yeah, when it comes to maintenance, you're going to have your yearly shots. You're going to have your shoeing. You're going to have your dental work, all that stuff. And then, of course, you got winter maintenance compared to summer maintenance as well.
Awesome. Okay. Ashley says, do you have any ideas about how to make a mule drink enough? Won't the electrolytes make the water taste differently?
Well, yes, it will make it taste a little bit different. So you want to do it a little at a time. But I actually use a paste when it comes down to I'm going to jump them in a trailer, and I'm going to be in a trailer for 2, 3, 4 hours. I've got a paste I put in the corner of their mouth, and when they come out of that trailer, they are looking for water. Now, the other thing is salt. Don't get this. I mean, oh shoot, what kind of salt they call it? Anyway, it's kind of a brown colored salt. and just get a good, clean, white iodized salt. You're good, but but don't get the one that's supposed to have vitamins in it and this sort of thing. A mineral block. Don't waste your money with that. But you can also want when you're out there and you're trail riding and stuff, and you're camping out someplace, you can take your morale, your nose bag, your feed bag, and you can put salt granules in it, and you can put that in there. But and you want to keep salt where they can have it all the time. You always want to have salt for them. So the only way you can really make them drink, feed them a really good electrolyte, and that'll do the job. And will the water taste different? Yeah. So you want to do it a little at a time and build your way up to it. Because I'm going to tell you, my most colicky mules that I've seen was actually at Bishop at the World Championships. And that's because they traveled a long ways and nobody thought about giving them good electrolytes before they left. Spent hours in a trailer and they get there and they're not drinking. Why? Because that California water, okay, from Bishop has a different taste and different smell than your water at home. Now, here at my ranch, we don't put a bunch of stuff in the water, okay? It's just plain old mineral water. And when I say mineral, it's got a lot of minerals in it. But anyway, just plain old water. And so I do give my mules electrolytes all the time. And you that's what you got to do.
Great question. Thank you very much, Ashley. Hey, David Scholl is here, warm and sunny in Queensland, Australia. It's spring here, so we have our first mule foal born. Our work begins again. There we go.
Good for you,
Hannah
Dave.
is watching from Dunedin, Florida. Catch up later. Eye injury in urgent care. 84 degrees. God bless America, she says. I hope you're okay, Hannah. Thank you for sharing with us, and all of us praying folks will be praying for you. Next question comes from Modern Day Cowgirl. She says, I picked up a fancy mule this weekend. No one at my bar knows anything about mules. What advice do you have? So sounds like a pretty big blank slate.
Yeah, leave the barn as quick as you can. Reason I say that is I don't know why there seems to be so many experts in these barns, especially when horse people are trying to tell you how to do with your mule. Okay. We've got over 1,200 videos out there, lots and lots of information. Always start with ground communication. We've got a ground communication kit. That's our number one thing. I just as soon not see the majority of you in the saddle. What I'd rather see is you're on the ground doing groundwork. Because if you can't do it on the ground, you can't do it in the saddle. Okay, really, really important. Don't put them in a round pen and chase them around like a lot of people do. Watch some of the videos that I've got. They'll be very helpful to you, and they're free.
That
Yeah,
one's from
go
me.
free deal.
Jane is watching from North Florida, cloudy and 80 degrees. Leslie is watching from an 85 and sunny Decatur. The next question, this one's all about guarding property. This one comes in from Sal. Sal says, I'm looking for an animal to run guard on my hobby farm. I've looked at dogs, but they can kill the poultry and emus that I'm going to have. Will a mule guard as well as a donkey? I have Maine Coon cats 20 pounds plus and very high prey driven as well as Bengal cats. What would you say, Steve?
You're a mule will not be a good guardian. Matter of fact, a mule will mother up to animals and keep the mother away and actually end up killing them. I've seen many a time where mules have killed babies and this sort of thing, calves and this sort of thing, chickens, turkeys, ducks, stomp them to death. So a donkey, yes, and I'm going to tell you that when it comes down to like emus and other things, it takes a while, and some of them get it, some of them don't. So don't think that you're going to buy a donkey and they're going to be able to protect your animals. No. Yes, you're talking about the big dogs that do a good job of protecting, um, but they are a carnivore, so you got to expect them to, yeah, eat a turkey or two or a duck. So which very much can happen. So, yeah, a miniature donkey now is the best way to go. They're usually the ones not so aggressive. They're a little easier to take care of. But here again, folks, the downside is this: they get out there and they can grass founder themselves pretty easy out on a pasture.
Yeah, so you got one out there playing guard. They're out at pasture, and because they're out there, especially if there's plenty of feed, even if we don't see it, they're going to do their job. But so if they're going to be out there, then can you just put a grazing Steve? If I put a grazing muzzle, can I just let it be out there all the time, no worries?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course, that takes away you don't know exactly how much they're eating. Well, I guess you know how much they're eating.
Yeah, yeah. They can get to water like my muzzles.
Yeah.
They accept so they can get water and stuff. So it will eliminate a lot of the overeating. And way I would suggest to do is maybe a couple hours in the afternoon or something like that, to where you actually will bring them in and they'll get their feeding done. You put the muzzle back on and turn them back out. But I can't tell you how many mule or donkeys I have seen over the years that are there to protect and end up foundering themselves because of all the grass. I can tell you that doesn't happen much in Mexico. When they used them there, they'd tie baby calves to them, and the donkey knew where the corral was, where they wanted to go, so they would just drag them. They would tie them to the neck and drag them to the corral, which was kind of unique. And there was no fat donkeys there. They were flat skinny from being worked.
So if they're protecting, when the minis protect, will they use their teeth to protect? Like if you have a grazing muzzle, does that limit their ability to protect?
Yeah, they do use their teeth, but they use their paws and their hind legs. They do a lot
Okay.
of kicking. Okay, can they bite? Yes, but can they bite through a muzzle? No. That's the only downside. There's always there's always a downside to life, right, Dave? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's different downsides we have to consider.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Valerie has a question here. She says, my mule measures 4 inches for a bit. I want to buy your trail bit, but it only comes in a 5 inch bit. Will that work? What would you say here to Valerie?
Yeah, I had a discussion with Valerie, and look, folks, mules. It's really easy to develop a strawberry patch in the corner of the mouse from not only from the bit being incorrect, but from people pulling and pushing with the bridle. I prefer to have either within a quarter inch of touching, or maybe at the most where I can stick a finger on each side. Because you got to remember, that's only a half an inch on each side. Okay, so that makes up an inch and a half. So that makes up another inch. So conceivably, you're looking at 5 inches. So um, uh, I can tell you that, like my little mule, he's 13 too, and he carried he would measure out about 4.5 inches, and I used my 6 inch Mule Riders Martingale on him. Okay, because different training compared to finish. Okay, there's a night and day difference. Training, I want the bar of the bit to go across the bar of the mouth as if it's a violin bow on a violin. So I want it to actually move. So I would like to see at least a half side on a snaffle bit for training.
All right. Let's see here. David Pengelly, a great day here in Manchester, Georgia. Georgia. We'll be sending coffee up to you in Shelbyville. Folks, if you don't know what Shelbyville is, you weren't here at the beginning. Steve is traveling to Shelbyville, Tennessee. September 26th through 28th is the American Mule and Bluegrass Festival, and Steve is going to be there presenting as a clinician. And so you can go to the website americanmuleandbluegrassfestival.com, get all the information. If you're not able to go, but you want to support the work that they're doing, and you can read up all about it on the website, there is a section there where you can donate as well. And word on the street is there will be come along coffee up in Shelbyville. Word on the street, coffee coming to Shelbyville. Laura is watching from Switzerland, which means we've gone international, 10 degrees Celsius. Judy is arriving late from Gazelle, California, overcast, threatening to rain, but about 70 degrees. Laura's got our next question. How do you improve impulse in donkey? Pressure does not work like it does with horses or even mules. What is it that makes them tick?
How do we improve impulse? You're talking about forward motion, because donkeys don't show um, they don't show pain like horses do. They don't show a lot of emotion, okay, as well. So, are you talking about forward motion? Okay, now that's really going to be important. Let's just say I'm riding and I'm first getting my first rides in. I don't use both my legs at the same time. I use right brain, actually right leg, left brain, left leg. So I'm telling right brain with the pressure here, go forward. Left brain with the pressure here, go forward. Left, right on the sides. So if that's what you're talking about, forward motion is everything, but you do not want to use a quirk. You want to use your legs and your hands for forward motion.
Great. Thank you so much. Laura, if you want to provide some additional information as to what you mean, then we can go deeper on that. Merlin says downsides to life are fewer and farther between if you just put them in the hands of Jesus. I'll tell you what, that's so true. Like believing in the work of Jesus means this life is the worst it's ever going to get.
Yeah.
When you don't know Jesus, this life is the best it's ever going to get. And I'll
Uh,
tell you what, this life can be pretty awesome sometimes, but just knowing that it gets better, ooh, that's the good stuff. Cassia says, "Do you use the Mule Riders Martingale ever with your Trail Rider bit?" So explain real quick, Steve, the bit that normally goes on the Mule Riders Martingale, and then why or why not you would use it with the Trail Rider bit.
oh, okay, so over the years, I kept trying to develop a way to get horses at first when I was riding a lot of horses nose on the vertical and head down, and compared to now the mules, because the mules will stiffen up and use all five major neck muscles against you. In fact, they can run just as fast through their shoulder as they can straight ahead. So no, I do not use the martingale and the bridle. I don't change bits. It's only works the very best out of beta, not in leather. It's amazing to see the bit work correctly, more finesse, more easier working with beta compared to leather. Yes, it does. Okay, leather has to be super oiled, super soft to make it work, and if it's got any type of stiffness at all, you'll pay for it within your training. But with the beta, it's smooth, it's flexible, it's easy to work, and it makes it terrific. So, and the idea of the beta and the snaffle bit is to communicate on the bars of the mouth and on the tongue. The finish bit, the trail rider bit, works on the palate of the mouth. Okay, the palate, in other words, the roof of the mouth and the bars of the mouth. And because it's a correctional mouthpiece, I can pick up on a right shoulder or a left shoulder and work on a right brain or a left brain pretty easy.
Steve, last week Pat sent us a message asking about a Pessoa training system, and we weren't quite sure about it. Pat sent a follow up, says it's the Pessoa lunging system. It was a great tool for developing the top line of my horses and driving ponies, getting them to engage their hind ends and helping them to have a good head carriage without dropping behind the vertical. Let's see here. So he was wondering, or I should say, Pat was wondering if that would be an effective tool for mules and donkeys.
Okay, I never do any lunging with a lunge line or a lunge rope. In other words, I do not hold onto their head at all when they're going around. They're running completely free. The downside of this is when you have that lunge line going across there, even if it's made out of nylon, just flat strap, or if it's a rope or whatever, there's still quite a bit of weight there. Oh, pardon me. And when you are first working with a mule, you want to train from their nose. You communicate through the nose. So you use a properly adjusted rope halter. Okay. Now, when I have my rope halter and I tie in my lunge line to the bottom of my rope halter, I now have the communication on my nose. It's going to be completely changed just from the weight of the lunge line itself, or just from the weight of the lunge rope or whatever that you're using. Now, I've got the weight going out there on this animal. He's feeling the weight of the lead rope or the lunge line on his nose. Okay. But the downside is, on top of that, now we have our hand on that lunge rope or lunge line, and we're creating even more pressure. We don't think about it, but mules care more about their nose than they do their mouth. So what happens is we are trying to get them to do different things with their hands, but what we're not realizing is, for the one thing we're getting that's kind of good, we have 2 or 3 other things that are going wrong, which is usually this. Usually the mule is running through his shoulder. I'm pulling on the head, and he's running through his shoulder. We don't think nothing about it. We see him lunging, but he's lunging, actually crossing over even the front end, but he's running through his shoulder. Now, when you're riding horses, when a lot of people, not me, ride horses, they're disengaging the hindquarters. They pick up on one rope to make the mule go around in a circle, make the horse go around in a circle. I would like to see you do that, a one rein stop at the Grand Canyon. Get that? Let me add to it. Not only is it 1 mile down here and straight up on this side over here, but I've got 5 pack mules behind me. So how can I possibly do a one rein stop and go around a circle until they stop? I can't do it. Okay. That's the problem with doing a lunging. When you're pulling on their face, you're making them run through their shoulder. So yeah, you're getting them to do what you want them to do, stop and turn and stuff like this, but you're teaching them to run through the shoulder. Then one day, when you want to stop, guess what they do to evade you? They don't want to stop because their flight and fright is kicked in. So what do? They run through their shoulder. So what do you end up with? You end up with a runaway that you can't stop, because they'll turn their head, and everybody thinks it's really good to do lateral flexions. Lateral flexions. Well, wait till one day you've got to stop really quick, and then you try to do your one-way stop with those lateral flexions. That mule will turn his head, put his nose right on the shoulder, and run just as fast sideways as he will straight ahead. So to answer your question, no, I don't do any type of lunging. The lunging that I do is with a surcingle, which we just got done doing a webinar on it, and Dave can send a copy of it to you. It's free, right, Dave? Free. There you go. Got the hint. Got the hint. So here's the deal, folks. If you've done it on a horse, don't touch the mule. Pretty simple. But if you've done it on the mule, some of the things that I've been teaching you, try it on the horse. See what happens.
Steve, I wanted to know, as I was going through and just looking at whatever questions we have, you may have talked about this at some point in time, but you did make that call or have that discussion with your friend in Canada about training. Did you want to talk more about that and what was on your mind?
Yeah, we can visit about this. I have a lot of phone calls all the time, Dave. And I know you get the emails and this sort of thing. People want to know where can I go to get my mules trained? Well, here's the downside, folks. What a lot of people think is trained, ain't trained, okay? Because the problem is, you get them home or you try to do something with them, you can't do anything with them, okay? and because a lot of it is mostly riding and in incorrect riding. So most of these guys, most of these gals that are training, that are trainers, are not understanding how to put a foundation on your mule and donkey. They're not understanding that. Okay. And so it's really, really important that you look at this situation and say, all right, my donkey don't stop, my mule don't stop. As for instance, what would Steve do? Okay. And I've got the videos out there. They're free. But the biggest thing I can tell you to do is it's important to think about going and doing it this way, starting ground and working your way up. Now, think about a trainer. These trainers are not just training on your mule. They got 4, 5, 6 other animals they have to ride and train on. So how much time are you really getting your money's worth, so to speak? Okay. I can tell you that if a trainer has 6 animals and he puts on 1 hour a day, that's 6 hours. And we do an average of 10 hours in a day. All right, there's already 6 hours gone. Where are they going to have time to work with those 6 mules and your mule too? Think about that. I've yet to see many trainers that can really do a complete justice to animals and have 5 others to ride. It's really difficult, really difficult. You've got to have a good system. That's one of the reasons I did come up with the surf single. You've got to have a good system. That's the reason I come up with the wagons. Okay. So I've got all these videos out there, folks. You can actually do just as good a job at you training yourself as you do hiring a hunter. I mean, a trainer. Okay. You can do just as good a job. You really can. And I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that are training now yourselves. You've been trying it. You've been listening to me. And you're getting a lot of satisfaction, but you get a lot of frustration too. I know. Okay. I know. But at least ways you are doing it, you're learning, and you and the mule are going to be on the same page. So there you are.
Awesome. Uh, Laura says yes. Forward motion, getting a bit of speed in, also from the floor. Anything else you'd add, Steve?
No, no, that's when you use your spurs. That's when you use your calves. You're going to be using right leg, left leg, not both legs at the same time. But yes, but I never like to use a quirk and whack them on the butt. I always like to use my legs.
Awesome. Mark is watching from Virginia, 67, and getting some much needed rain. Judy says, I got the frustration part. Yeah, well, it happens, and that's why we're here. Hopefully, we can minimize that. David Pengelly's asking, how much beet pulp would you feed to a 700-pound mule, and would you do it once or twice a day?
Okay, I'm not going to answer that, David, until I get my coffee. In other words, I want to make you
That's it,
pay.
folks. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Appreciate it. No, just kidding.
Okay, I like to use beet pulp because it does a lot of things. Okay, for instance, it does help clean out the intestines and kind of make the intestines work and this sort of thing. So, and I always wet it. So let's just say that I'll feed it in the morning and in the night, and I'll usually do a half a pound coffee can. I know you don't use coffee cans, Dave, but get you a half a pound roughly, and give it to them morning and night, and give it to them wet. There's nothing wrong, especially when you're getting ready to ride. Nothing wrong with adding about another cup of whole oats in there with it. Okay, it'll be a good deal, but uh, especially when you're riding now. But otherwise, I'd start with a half a pound and make it damp, and it really works great. It's a great tool.
Awesome. I think that's it. Steve, anything you want to say? We talked about Shelbyville.
Yeah.
We talked about folks training on their own. We answered all these questions that came through. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we're all done today?
No, as you all can see, I'll just kind of touch on this. As you all can see, and mainly because of TV and YouTube and Facebook and all this stuff, the world's in an uproar. Always has been, always will be. But, okay, and it comes down to this but thing, all right? You Christians need to be using that free gift that God gave you, and that is called prayer. You need to put prayer to this, because right now we have a lot of people who want to do damage to the United States from the inside out. Okay, we can call it communism, Marxism, whatever you want, but they think by giving out free this, free that, free this, free that, that by golly everybody's going to be good, and that's not right. Okay, I want you all to think about the prayers that you're able to send up there. God knows what's going on, but He also wants to know that you're willing to get in there and put forth the effort. So do that. Okay, the whoever becomes president is what God says. Okay, and we can read that right there in First Timothy. That we also, not only does He put them in place, but we need to be praying for them, not just bad mouthing them, praying for them, for salvation first. So there you are, folks. God bless America. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. It's good to see you. MuleRanch.com, you can find everything that we've talked about, as well as all sorts of free videos, free articles, and the most recent clinic that we did, the online webinar clinic, techniques for tuning up, simple training to create a soft and willing animal. That is now available inside MuleRanch.com for free. So if you have an account, go to MuleRanch.com, sign in, go to the video library. You'll see that title there for free. If you do not have an account, it's free to sign up. MuleRanch.com. Just go to the login area, sign up for a free account, and you can get access to it as well. It's probably, I think it is the most heralded training that we've done as far as folks responding and saying how helpful it's been. I know Jackie loved it. Jackie's been on it. She says that things have been going great, and now she's got more questions. So she's going to keep bringing it. We would love to be able to answer your questions as well. Thank you so much for being here. And Steve, how about it? We'll see you next time, okay?
Okay, Mule Guy. We'll see you, buddy.
All right. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Hey, you see our hat? Yeah. Well, who do you think you are? You're a silly dog. You're a silly dog.